Hey, this is Lisa Dettinger with PowerHouse Educational Resources. And here at PowerHouse Ed, we are all about making things simple. So I discovered when I was in the classroom teaching a system called Touchpoint Math. This has been around for many years, and there are a lot of different students who use it in different schools and different settings. And I found when I did my homeschooling that it really helped my students who weren't excelling in math very well. And I'm not normally a math person either, and I found Touchpoint Math to be really helpful for me too. So I would like to show you how I use it today because it's really simple, and that's my favorite. So basically, it's a way to memorize dots on numbers. So the very first step is to memorize where dots are placed on certain numbers. So for example, the number 1 has 1 dot at the very top. And when we write that dot, we say 1. Number 2, of course, would have 2 dots. So we say 1, 2, and so on. So I'm going to count the dots for you as I put them on the numbers. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the first step with the dots is memorizing where the dots go on numbers. So I also run a private school from my home now that I've graduated my own kids from private school. And I taught the dot system to the kids in my school, and they loved it and they are thriving with it, and it just broke a barrier for them to be able to do their math better. So what I did is we took chalks and went out to the driveway, and we wrote the numbers 1 through 9 on the driveway and practiced doing the dots that way. Anytime they had a math assignment for about a month, they would have to write 1 through 9 at the top of the paper and then put the dots. So the idea of the dots is memorizing where these dots go, and then you'd be able to have a picture of the dots without having the dots even on the number. So as the students are memorizing the dots, they're going to put the dots on the numbers, and then they're going to be able to say 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So at the point that they memorize the dots, then they don't even need to write the dots anymore. Then they remember where the dots are on the numbers, so they simply touch with their pencil where the dots would go on the numbers. So you may have a question about the number 4, because oftentimes we see the number 4 written this way. The students memorize the dots on this 4, and when they see a 4 that's written this way, they just remember 1, 2, 3, 4, because they remember where the dots are. So that takes care of that triangle-shaped number 4. Once the students memorize where the dots are, they're ready to do some addition facts with the dots. So even though your student might already know 4 plus 2, in order to really memorize how to use the dots, we ask them to do this again. And here's how the dots work for addition. They put their pencil on the number 4 and say 4, and then they count up from there on the dots. So it would look like this: 4, 5, 6. And they know then that the answer is 6. They don't have to write the dots. They've memorized where the dots go, so that all they need to do is touch where the dots would go with their pencil. Let's try another one. Again, even though they might already know 7 plus 7, we're working on how to count up using the dots. So we put our pencil on 7 and say 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then they'd write their answer 14. So when the numbers get a little bit bigger, they would put their pencil, if it's just one digit on the bottom, they could put their pencil on the number 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, and write that. And again, when the numbers get bigger, they might have 358 plus 249. So here, they would put their pencil on the number 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Carry the 1. Now they have 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Carry the 1, 4, 5, 6. So that's how it works with bigger addition problems. Once the student becomes proficient at counting up when they're adding using the dots, then we introduce using the dots with subtraction. Subtraction, you simply count backwards. So you put your pencil on the 7 and count backwards from 7. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And again, with a bigger number, like 18 minus 9, if they don't have that memorized, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. As your students become more proficient with memorizing where the dots are, they put their pencil on the dots quicker. And this is so much more efficient than trying to figure out counting fingers and trying to make things like that work. This is just so much more efficient. So you can see that subtraction is simply counting backwards, and it's very important for the student to say the first number, 12, and then to count down. Or if it's an addition problem, 12, and then to count up. So that's how it works with addition and subtraction. When your student is proficient at using the dots with addition and subtraction, then you can introduce multiplication. For example, if I had 5 times 2, I could look at the number 5 and I would skip count by 5s on the number 2. So this would be 510. Now for this, of course, your student would get to be proficient at skip counting. And there are so many ways to become proficient at skip counting. If you just Google on YouTube skip counting songs, you'll get a bunch of options. The students in the school where I teach, we found some great pop music that was set to skip counting, and they love it. They still use it. I've got middle school students that are using these songs. So it's a joy to hear them do something like this. They'll say, okay, I'm going to count by 8s, and I remember my skip counting song, 8, 16, 24, and they'll keep going. It's really great. So skip counting to music is really helpful for students that have a hard time memorizing their multiplication facts. You can choose which number you want to skip count by. For example, I might choose to skip count by 4s on the 2, or skip count by 2s on the 4. So if I decide I'm going to skip count by 2s on the 4, I'd look at this number and say, skip counting by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8. And if I know I'm going to skip count by 4s, I say skip counting by 4s, 4, 8. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that was helpful for you. Of course, one more thing that I'll add is when you're multiplying larger numbers, you're going to use both the touchpoint dots when you're adding and skip counting on the touch points when you're multiplying. So it's super important to memorize these dots. I have my own children that I homeschooled that use these dots are now college graduates. They've moved on. They have lives of their own. And they just recently told me that they still use skip counting and they still use the dots when they add and subtract. And frankly, so do I. So I hope that you found this to be as helpful for your students as I found it to be for all of mine. And to find out more and to get copies of some sample worksheets that you can use with your students, go to powerhouseedu.com.